Welcome to this webinar about the Wheatbelt Food Community 2023 Early Findings Summary. I would like to acknowledge our funder Healthway and our project partners including WA Country Health Service, the Social Enterprise Wicked Lab, the Public Health Advocacy Institute and ECU, the Centre for People, Place and Planet. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which you are viewing this webinar. We recognise their continuing connection to the land and the beautiful ocean and thank them for protecting this country for thousands of generations. We respect all elders past and present. Just as a quick refresher, our project aims to identify, map, evaluate and strengthen food security initiatives across the WA regions. And in particular, for this case, that's supporting food security action in the Wheatbelt region. Now I'm going to take you through some of our Wheatbelt Food Community Project activities to date. And that includes the project launch, which we held in Northam and online in September of 2022. We then conducted 23 interviews capturing 24 initiatives with people running food security initiatives across the Wheatbelt. We then returned to Northam in April of 2023 to hold our results sharing and action planning workshop, where we co-designed action plans with initiative leaders who had previously participated in an interview with us to further strengthen their work. At our launch in 2022, we asked people what vision they had for a food secure Wheatbelt region, and with those insights we created this graphic recording that you can see here to showcase the kind of themes people wanted to see. So they wanted to see things like utilising existing infrastructure, so using kitchen facilities for shared or community cooking, as well as connection and systemic influence. Another theme was community and market gardens, so celebrating traditional foods. We also had sustainability, so the decentralisation of food distribution. Another theme was education and empowerment, so connection to culture and land. And then the final theme was uniting community and government, so having policies to drive away fast food chains. And this vision was based on the brainstorming activity that we did at the launch, but it was also shared through social media sites in the Wheatbelt region to get people's additions and feedback. And we also asked people to circulate it through their own networks so that they could also contribute to this vision. Then during the interviews with initiative leaders, we also asked them about their vision for a food secure Wheatbelt region, and some of their additions included a strong focus on food access, so healthy, affordable food for all. We had increasing food industry jobs in the region, such as through food production or processing, and we also had the theme of government support to relieve costs of living pressure to free up more money for food. Next up is a snapshot of our results that we've uncovered after our first round of interviews and action planning in the Wheatbelt. This includes we conducted 23 interviews and looked in depth at 24 initiatives focusing on food security. When we asked initiative leaders who they were working in partnership with, we found that there were 64 partnering organisations. So when we interviewed people, we asked them things like who they work with and where they get their funding from, and this helped us to build a map or an understanding of the kinds of different organisations that are working to implement these initiatives. We also mapped the interviewed initiatives against the dimensions or aspects of food security, and some initiatives can address multiple dimensions where relevant. So we found 6 initiatives focusing on food availability, 16 focusing on food access, 10 that were focusing on food utilisation, 1 on the stability of those first 3 aspects or dimensions, then 2 focusing on agency and 2 focusing on sustainability. So we know that there are more than those 24 initiatives happening in the Wheatbelt region, but this is just a snapshot of what's happening. This image here gives us a picture of the types of initiatives we interviewed. So there were 10 emergency food relief and community programs, 9 food literacy and health promotion initiatives, 4 community gardens and or food swapping groups, and 1 network and or alliance. And of course, these types of initiatives are spread across various dimensions of food security, and some may cover multiple dimensions as well. For example, food access is covered by those food relief and community programs. Food utilisation is covered by food literacy and health promotion initiatives. And then both food access and availability is covered by community garden type initiatives as well. We also mapped the interviewed initiatives across the lifespan to showcase where the focus areas of the initiatives are and where there are some spaces for opportunities. So as you can see, majority of the initiatives that we interviewed are focusing more on those school-aged children or adults, and they were less focused on early years, youth and senior or older adults. We've also shown this information in another way through a socio-ecological model, which shows the different levels of intervention that these initiatives are focusing on. For example, at the individual level, they're focusing on knowledge, skills or attitudes of individual clients or people that they're working directly with. At an interpersonal level, these ones are focusing on relationships between family or social networks, or looking at the connection between these different levels of social networks and partnerships. At an institutional level, these ones are often embedded within schools or other settings like workplaces, for example, or thinking about how they might be emergency relief programs that are focusing on supporting clients from within different institutions. And at a community level, these ones focus on different partnerships between community organisations. And finally, at a public policy level, these ones are, for example, like a local government public health plan. So this image here gives us a snapshot view of the kinds of focus areas that the initiatives in the Wheatbelt region have. So there are more at that institutional, interpersonal and community level, and fewer at that individual and public policy level. As I mentioned earlier during the interviews, we asked people who they work in partnership with, who their stakeholders are and where they get their funding from. And this helped us to build this partnership map, which you can see here, that's been generated through the Wicked Lab software. So this map helps us to understand the kind of different organisations that are working in the space and how they potentially work together to implement initiatives. Then in terms of stakeholders, partnerships and collaborations, there were on average 2.7 partnering organisations per initiative, and the two main types of organisations were not-for-profits and businesses. So this just shows the range of different types of collaborators that are working on food security in the Wheatbelt region. Next here we have the Wheatbelt transition card, or the systems change map, which visualises how the Wheatbelt food security system is contributing to 36 systems change characteristics across 9 focus areas. So it shows the 24 initiatives that we interviewed down the left side here, and they're listed in terms of the name of the initiative. Then each of these columns are 9 different focus areas that make up our framework, and you can find more information about that in some of our other webinars. Then you can see the coloured tiles, and they indicate whether the initiative possesses that focus area's characteristics. So each characteristic aligns with the question asked during the interview, and the same coloured tiles are all of the characteristics for one focus area. For example, the red tiles are the 8 characteristics under focus area 1. So if the tile is coloured, then the initiative possesses the characteristic, and if it's blank, they either responded no to our question or couldn't provide evidence as to how they possess the characteristic. So there's no right or wrong answer, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if they don't possess them. It just offers these windows of opportunities to strengthen different parts or aspects of that initiative through small tweaks or changes. Then you can see that we have these 3 red boxes. So these are the focus areas that have the most windows of opportunity. So focus areas 3, 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 here were the different focus areas that we identified to work on in our action planning workshop that we held in April of 2023. So focus area 3 is about identifying role models or change champions, or having common language or branding, logos, hashtags that really join people together in the change effort. Then focus areas 6 and 7 could be about bridging community programs to government strategic plans. And then focus areas 8 and 9 might be about how government can share information about food security initiatives that are happening in their region with their jurisdiction. So taking a bit of a closer look at those focus areas, we can see that 54% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 1, which is shake things up. 42% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 2, which is amplify action. 57% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 4, which is embed, watch and respond, and 45% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 5, which is build collective knowledge. While under the focus areas to strengthen, we can see that 26% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 3, so create identity and combine resources. 21% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 6, which is align government and community. 21% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 7, which is shape policies with community voices. 26% of interviewed initiatives possessed focus area 8, so tap into community know-how. And 17% of initiatives possessed focus area 9, which is promote community initiatives. So this analysis here is how we determined that these focus areas on this slide had the most windows of opportunity, and that we focused on them and strengthening those areas with initiative leaders during our action planning workshop. So in April of 2023, we returned to the region to hold the Wheatbelt Food Community Results Sharing and Action Planning Workshop, and the workshop aimed to share early findings of the project's 2023 cycle and co-design an action plan with each initiative leader to further strengthen their work. So the actions were realistic, small tweaks or value adds rather than whole initiative changes. So we had 6 people that participated in the action planning in person, online or self-completed their action plans with the food community team's support. And these are collectively aiming to address systems change characteristics across the food security system in the Wheatbelt. Then during the action planning workshop in person and online, attendees contributed to a discussion about new food security initiatives needed in the region to better support food security systems change. So these new initiatives spanned across food security aspects or dimensions of availability, access, utilisation, stability, agency and sustainability. So under food availability, there were ideas such as creating surplus drop-off points for farmers. Under food access, we had providing online shopping services. Under food utilisation, there was education programs to increase food growing skills. Under stability, there was regional food security planning. Under agency, there was things like providing people with food that they want to eat in terms of an emergency relief context. And then under sustainability, there were ideas such as using existing transport systems to transport food. So that brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you for watching. You can contact the food community team via our website, follow us on Facebook or email us at foodcommunity@ecu.edu.au.